आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमेन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Om. May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, the mind, the sensory and motor organs, and the life force become strong and efficient. All is verily the absolute blissful one without second, self-luminous existence itself, the Brahman. Let me never deny this truth of oneness, of blissful, all-pervading existence. May it never reject me either. I am aware that to experience this truth, one needs to develop many virtues spoken of by the Upanishads. May all those virtues be with me. Om. Peace. 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 Let us feel, friends, our body, mind, and the whole surrounding is permeated with this blissful, all-pervading Brahman. Let us feel that we are waves on this luminous, blissful, infinite ocean of Brahman. That Brahman, the divine, is our reality. is our source, our life. The shapes like I, you, the various things, these shapes create an illusion of multiplicity. In meditation, let all these shapes be merged in their source, the ocean, the existence itself. Let us feel I am that. I am the indestructible, timeless, blissful, conscious existence itself. There is no coming or going for me. I am free from all desires. All fears are gone. I am bliss itself. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin with our regular chants. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditaratashchartheshvabhinyasvarat Tene brahmahridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayah Tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. That from whom creation, sustenance and dissolution of the universe take place, who is both the instrumental and material cause of it, who is omniscient, is the only one having self-mastery, being the one independent entity, who illumined the mind of Brahma with the Vedic revelation, whose wisdom is the wonder of even the greatest sages, in whom the world of three gunas subsists just as the combination of materials like fire, water and earth subsist in their causes without changing their elemental nature, in whose consciousness there is nothing false. On that truth supreme we meditate. So last class we were looking at the 24 different principles which constitute the material universe as such. We saw that this universe can be looked as a compound of the consciousness and matter. And then the matter is subject to variations, divisions. The consciousness does not get divided. Just to give an analogy that is commonly given in Vedanta, is the space is there. But then you make the divisions of the space, that the space in this hall, the space in that children's room behind it, the space there on the street, the space occupied by my sipping cup, isn't it? In the cup there is some space, and the space in all different things. Now the space doesn't get changed. The space remains the same. It is only we give the names to the containers, and then the containers change. The space does not actually change. So, it is thus the consciousness, it does not get changed at all, but the receptacles through which it appears, those get shifted and changed. And that is why that is called Prakriti, the material aspect of it, that it is subject to change, and then it has 24 varieties, as it was told, the 5 elements, and then there are 5 different aspects or qualities called tanmatras. Then there are the 10 organs corresponding to those 5 organs of this knowledge or sense, and which are like the ears. Then there is the sense of touch, and then there is the sense of sight, there is the sense of taste and sense of smell, and then the 5 organs of action, like hands, feet or legs. Then there is the organ of speech. Then there is the organ of excretion, organ of procreation. These 5 organs of action, 5 organs of knowledge, these 10 organs. So that makes it all 20. And then 4 are the 4 aspects or 4 functions. That in the internal organ, it has these. The mind is there. What is called the receptacle, that all the impressions stored, that is there. And then there is the faculty of determination, that is there. And then there is the ego principle. So all these 4, so make it 24. And then some add the 25th, that is time. Because they see that this prakriti or this matter that changes, that change means time. Change gives the idea of time. In unchanging, there is no time at all. And in change, there is always the connection with time. Please let us remember this, that change and time can never be separated. Without change, there is no sense of time. And then change is without time, there is no change. So change means time actually. In a way, you can say the measure of change is the measure of time. Like we say in our usual language also, in 4 months, see how much change it has happened. 4 months ago, there we wouldn't see so many leaves. The ground looked just black, dark. And now look, in 4 months, the change has, you can see the change. There is some construction going on there. Earlier, standing here, you can see that part of that corner of Hope and Waterman. Now there is a big construction coming up there. So we were remarking, oh, in such a short time, look, they have now the 3 floors built there. Just outer structure, but see the change, and then the time. So everything, time, and time is kind of a cyclic thing. The measurement of time requires a cycle. So like we say, one day means what? Say the sun was rising, then it set and was not visible. Again we see the fellow is there on the horizon. So we say now it is 1 day, a unit of time. That was considered the first important unit of time, was this cyclic motion, that again and again sun is rising. So that is how we see that the change gets measured, and that is the time. There is but another very interesting idea of time that is mentioned here, and let me read that part. It's very, very interesting. Some, however, are of the opinion that time is not included in Prakriti, but rather is a power of Purusha. Purusha means the conscious principle. That it is the conscious principle, the Purusha, its power, which incites the fear of death in embodied beings who have wrongly become identified with the evolutes of Prakriti and absorbed in the ego sense, which is one of those evolutes. So that is how the time, it incites the sense of fear. That fear, I will die, I will lose everything. And that is what the fear is. I am okay now, but what will Corona do to me or mine? I and mine, it is an extension of I. Mine means it is, it will be lost. That is fear. And therefore time is that sense of fear, that things will go. I want to hold on to them because of identification. One is identified with a heap of flesh, blood, bones and all that, and starts calling it I. See, the consciousness getting identified with a piece of matter. And that piece, you cannot say what piece, because it keeps on shifting, changing. It is, Richard drank water, now it is different, the matter is changed. So what is being called as I? Which heap? That also is not certain. Let us remember, there is absolutely no stability about it. And yet we are identified with that. A terrible combination of the unchanging reality and constantly changing matter. The consciousness never changes, never subject to change. But the matter is never at rest. It is constantly shifting and changing. And thus one gets identified, my body and I body. See, the confusion is right there in our language and our awareness. We say my body, my back is aching. Yes, I have a pain in my head. Or things like that we say. So my head, my back. So it is not really I, something that is my. Like my car, my watch, my uncle, you may, whatever, that is my, it is not I. And yet the body gets called I also when we say, I live in Providence, Rhode Island. That is I. Do I really live there? It is, if we just examine, we see how foolish that statement is. I don't live in Providence, but still when somebody asks me, like I went to an office that medical office there, and then they asked, "What's your address? Where do you live?" I have to say, "Yeah, this is my address, means I live here. Actually, I am everywhere. The space is in me. I am not in space." But this is how this false identification comes, and this is changing, and then it will go. That is the fear. That is why every single being here is shivering in fear. Because of this identification, which has to keep on shifting. It is, yes, see, if some time back, a worried mother called me that her baby is not still crawling, has grown so many months, I don't remember, but is not crawling. So a change is not only feared, the contradiction is there. Change is feared, and just also it is wanted. Let my baby start crawling. Let my baby start talking. Let my baby start going to school. Let my baby be grown up. Change. And then, of course, this change means it is slipping off your fingers. It is slipping off you. It is no more mine. You can see that, and yet you want to hold on to it. That is fear. That is how this time incites the sense of fear in us. Things will go away. The whole struggle in life is described. The life of an ignorant person is the struggle. What? It is called in Sanskrit Yoga Kshema. Yoga means go on adding more to yourself. That okay, I just had 1 million, but 1.5 millions will be better. Let me try to get more, and so forth. It is add more to yourself. Yeah, I have got a TV, but I want a bigger one. There is always a craze, that let me get a bigger one. How big? Oh, and there is then competition. The neighbor has so big. I want bigger than that. So it is, yeah, you go on I had gone to see one apartment for some guests who were going to stay here for a month or so. And then the owner showed me the apartment, that this apartment is available. And then there was a big TV there. And he said, that TV? Yes, they can use this TV. Those who are staying, this whole big TV they can use. And he smilingly said, why it is here, it was so big that they were not able to take it away, take it with other things. It was going to be much costlier to carry it. So therefore they left it there. So it is so loss. I will have to lose. So that is called shame, to hold on, to get more and to hold on to what you have. That is the whole story of the life of an ignorant person, identified with a heap of flesh, blood and so forth. A changing heap of flesh and blood. See, that is how terrible is the situation of we people. It is. So that is the time. Time will take us away. That is, all that we have will go. So fear of that sense of fear is in everything, everyone. Even you see the animals, they have fear. It is. So they try to protect themselves. Even the plants, they have fear. So they have therefore the arrangements of thorns and also that they can protect themselves. There are, it is, and yet there is the need to, you feel the contradictory need to change. So we do not realize the change means it will go. So this is how the life is caught in this terrible, terrible mess, friends. So this is described, the time is described like that. It is further, for the time sense of every embodied being is like a line with its two ends marked by birth and death, and all the events crowding it form seemingly a continuous flow, as it were, from the former to the latter. The birth, events start happening, as it were, and then it ends in death. That is the time sense that a person has according to the state of life that one has. That dog, that one lady told me that she was carrying a dog. She said, my dog has become old. I said, how old? So in human years, she said, in human years he will be 85 years old. Means it is the dog years. In the dog years are like that, It is, everything is, the time sense changes from creature to creature. As per the nature of the life, there is the birth, there is the change, and the change comes to a stage when now you cannot recognize it as that, and that gets death. That is called death. Death is happening, It is, we are dying every moment. That is another very important contradiction that Vedanta keeps on impressing on our minds. That it is, we say life, we are living. But living means what? Changing. Changing, time, right? Time. We are changing. And at one stage, the change will come to a level, stage when it is called death. That is and then we say that man or whosoever died after 80 years or 90 years or 100 years, whatever. Now for that 80 years, we say that man was living for 80 years. But would it not be the same thing to say that that fellow was dying for 80 years? Was progressing towards death. What death? You don't agree? See, it is, one was and yet we say, so life and death are really, in grammar they are opposite. But in actuality they are synonyms. Living is synonymous to dying. That is how we are caught in this contradiction. So it is said that for those identified with body, mind, ego, there is the fear of losing. This is how this whole thing is fraught with immense fear. This is time. You can look upon time in various ways, but this is loss. I will be gone. Oh, if I do like this, then the corona will catch me up, eat me up. If this is happening, who knows? Look, there are those sirens of fire trucks or whatever, police going on. Oh, I don't know what's happening. Fear. And then some get that connection in their brain so strongly that it is difficult to remove, erase that impression. And that is what is called then trauma. It is. So, for example, somebody had witnessed a terrible accident, and then those fire trucks and police vehicles and the emergency medical vehicles all were rushing with that sound, bha, 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 bha. And that person was watching that terribly sorry scene of all the destruction, loss of life and all that in just a matter of minutes. It was everything that appeared to be pleasant became everything that is full of horror. Now that incident was over. The time has elapsed, means that person who saw it went home, raised that, started going for his or her work. But whenever such siren is heard, immediately the tremendous fear comes. The person becomes like frozen. Oh, why? Trauma, that is called trauma. That the impression in the brain is there, it is not wiped out. So it just becomes enlivened. And then it is this fear that gets crystallized and becomes a trauma. And then it further, becomes problematic when you don't need a siren to sound outside. The siren is sounding in the mind, will do the job. So the situation becomes very difficult. I have seen, sometimes back, I had told, I think, in this class, long back, when I used to be in the city of Shillong. So in our center there, one lady came, and I asked her, are you Assamese? Assamese is one of the language, and Assam is one of the regions there in the northeastern part of India. And then she became just very scared in a way, angry, upset. Huh? What if I am an Assamese? And then why? It was not too long ago. Just about 10-12 years ago, there was a big agitation in that region against Assamese, a movement to throw the Assamese out from that region. And so many Assamese had to flee. And so she had that, are you Assamese? That question had that connection in her mind. So I am going to be thrown out just because I am an Assamese? And so she became so upset. Her face was red with fear. Now I had to tell several times. I asked this question just to, a casual talk. I have absolutely nothing against Assamese or any kind of people. But because of the trauma, even the hearing the word Assamese brought out that fear of that time. So losing something that we have, a fear comes. And that is how losing body, big fear. Losing mind, it is, although they say that we don't want to lose mind, but we still keep on giving piece of our mind every now and then to others. So then they will lose, isn't it? The mind will be lost every time if we are distributing a piece of mind to others. It is. So it is like that we lose, and that fear is there. But the life is that losing, but we want to hold on. Now, this is a problem of a terrible combination between the changing and the unchanging. Changing Prakriti, unchanging consciousness. So, it is, these are not really two according to Vedanta. It is the ignorant perception becomes these two separate things, like matter and consciousness. Vedanta says everything is actually the God, the consciousness itself in ignorance. It is split into two, and then a conscious and principle and a matter. And they are not separate that you can see, because you cannot actually separate one and say this is, you can take this is the matter, and in this spot the consciousness is kept. It is not like that. It is not like separating oil from water. You have, say, a gasoline and put oil in it, put water in it, and soon you will see the two separate layers, that this is the gasoline and this is down there is the water. So, and you can separate them and say this is the gasoline, this is water. If you shake it violently, again it will seem to be mixed, but it will be separable. All other such things, howsoever the compounded they may be, there is a way of separation. There is the movement, therefore, for getting the hydrogen as fuel from water. Water has a lot of hydrogen, oxygen, the two elements with which the water gets made. So let us split it, and thus we will have lot of hydrogen as fuel. So in principle it can be done. Whether it will be profitable or not is a different matter. But in principle, all these things which are compounded can be separated. It is in our high school chemistry we learned that it is, there are the mixtures, then there are solutions, and then there are compounds. There is also mixtures. Means suppose you have salt powder, salt and sugar. Both you mix. Now they are physically mixed and difficult to separate just because of the color and all that same. But it is still they are separate. If you can pick up one grain and then put it, it will taste either sugary or savory. It is not a compound. But then add salt to a glass of water and stir. Now it is, if you sip any part, you will see that it is water and salt that put together. But still you can separate them. The process is a bit difficult, but it is possible without doing any chemical change. Let the water be evaporated and collect the steam in a different container, and you will have the water there, and which will not taste salty, and then there will be the separate salt left in the other container. So this is another way that things are mixed. Then there is compound, that it is, the separating is still more difficult. Like the example, hydrogen and oxygen got combined, and that now you have water. Now separating them is a big task, but can be done. But in everything there is this matter and consciousness. Try to separate. Try. You will not succeed. It is not possible to separate it at all. That is a combination, such intricate, supremely intricate combination, that it is not possible to separate one from another. Whatever you point out is actually an inseparable compound of consciousness and matter. This chair, it is matter, consciousness, just compounded together. Can you separate? No, it is not separable. The Vedantists, those who have the knowledge, the sages, see that there is no combination at all. It is consciousness itself. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, everything is just consciousness congealed. It is, there is just the consciousness itself, whereas there is no jada or matter or insentience there. It is all the chinmay, the word, beautiful word he used, chinmay, that it is the image. Somebody was asking, that is in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you read this right in the beginning, that the M was asking, well, why should one worship the idol of clay or metal or stone? Sri Ramakrishna said, well, why call it the idol? It is not idol of stone or clay or anything. It is the concentration of consciousness, chinmay. It is made of consciousness, chit, chinmay. And that is how it is. It is, every being is, we say that, for example, Sarada, she is, say, conscious. Means what? What is conscious? Is the flesh that I am calling conscious? Is the bone that I am calling conscious? What is that? It is an image, actually made of all these things put together. But actually it is the image of consciousness. Everything for the person of knowledge is therefore consciousness congealed. But in ignorance we have now these matter is one thing, consciousness is another thing, and therefore this discussion is going on. This discussion is for people like us who see that something is conscious, something is not conscious. This is where how this world is made of, what are the ingredients, how they came to be fused together. It is so the sages began, if you look how this was begun, that it is the God alone is just ignorance of God gives illusion of this separation, I, you. How this separation comes? Again, let us remember, I don't know, please forgive me for hammering this point again and again, because this is very, very important to imprint on our minds, that it is the perception of multiplicity, a dynamic multiplicity. There is, we see the form, which gives the idea of A separate from B, Naomi separate from Yona. And then what happens? This separate from this, one thing. But we give name to them, identify name to them, identify them with name, which gives, they see how the height of ignorance, which gives those forms a sense of identity, although they keep on changing. They keep on changing, yet they are given an identity. Like we have that baseball clubs, Red Sox. In this region there are so many fans of Red Sox. So now what happens? What is Red Sox? Just a name. Things change, you know. It is, what does it mean, Red Sox? The ownership changes, the players keep on shifting and changing, the coach shifts and change, the other locations come and go, everything is shifting. Why it gets the identity? Because of a name. A name. Yogatmananda. What is it? The shifting, changing is happening all the time. What is that which tells that that Yogatmananda 20 years ago came to America? Now, so is it same really? The name gives a false sense of thing being the same. There is nothing same. My understanding has changed, my shape has changed, my other health conditions have changed. The black hair have been all replaced by grey, and many have gone also. So all that. And yet what gives it the sense of identification? Just name. So this is how we then get this question, how this was made, who made, and all that. But it is all illusion, a big illusion. Nothing has happened. God alone, as it is there. In ignorance, it appears to be all different things, as it were, they are coming and going. It is that we were reading that birth and death. On that line, things go. Everything has therefore this change and such change of time. Virus also, and there is the mutation of virus. It has now double mutant, means as if it is there, it has undergone change. It is, see, it also has the life. Okay, this virus died. This medication will make you, the virus will die. It is so many such, because virus also has a life. Next month, some Sunday, I am going to give a talk on this topic, life of a virus. So, anyway, so it is, it also has its life from this time to this time, its time calculations. A bacteria also has its time calculation, even that an ant would have its life calculation. There is the birth, there is the growth, there is the mating or whatever, progeny, and then growth of that, and then death, gone. They say mosquitoes, in a few days, several generations of mosquitoes, they take birth and are gone. So this is how from birth to death. If after birth, after death, one will take another birth. Because the ignorance is there, desires are there. So a body will be manufactured according to those desires. But that body may not be human. It could be the body, say, of a mosquito. So the time scale will change. The rate of change will become different. So it will have a different time cycle. The time is the God who initiates the creative disturbance by disturbing the equilibrium. That is another very important idea about time, that it is all the disturbance of equilibrium. In equilibrium there is no change, it is all same. Yeah, there is no time. Those who have studied some thermodynamics, they will understand that there is therefore the death of the universe, because there won't be any change possible. Entropy means the measure of the how difficult it is to transfer energy, is that is one way of describing entropy. It is the sometimes it can be described as the measure of disturbance. So, but it comes to a level that more and more and more it is going to become difficult to transfer the energy, and thus there will be no interaction possible. It will be an equilibrium. Death. Life means disturbance. The equilibrium is disturbed. There is the motion. If there is the positive and the negative electric poles, so the current flows. If there is no such potential difference, there will be no flow of electricity. It is so, time begins with the disturbance, as it were. The equilibrium is disturbed, and thus now things start shifting. Equilibrium, no change. There are those delicate arches in Utah. Many of you might have seen delicate arches in Utah. So, very nice. So, you see those stones, they hold each other in equilibrium. So, they don't fall. But if due to earthquake or any such reason, if the equilibrium is disturbed, those stones will fall down. There won't be these delicate arches. Let us not stand under them when that equilibrium is going to be disturbed. So, it's like that. The earth, this solar system moving in a way, it is all because of there is this equilibrium and motion. The motion in equilibrium. They so that is there, but if it is disturbed, then all these things will be destroyed and a different order will come up. So it is all this, friends, is equilibrium disturbance, and then in dissolution this whole equilibrium gets restored, as it were, and so the creation comes to as an end, no change, and no creation, no birth, no death. Even the thoughts won't move, because that also is not possible. Everything is in equilibrium. So time is the disturbance in that state of equilibrium. So anyway, today's time is over. There is the next time we will discuss the idea of some further evolutes and creation very briefly, because we had discussed these things in these classes a few times. So I will then take up the question about how to get liberated from that. Understood that this is how we are all bound. But how to get out of it? The way that we are bound, when we understand that, suggests also the way how to get liberated. How you got bound, now they reverse the process and you will get liberated thereby. Anyway, that is for the next Friday. We shall chant the concluding mantra, and then if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Nigamakkalpatarurgalitam phalam shukamukhaadamritadravasanyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuruho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Quaff. Devotees quaff to intoxication this nectar of the fruit of the tree of Vedas, flowing from the mouth of the great sage Shuka and mixed with the ambrosia from his words. Any questions? No questions. You have a question, Richard. Okay, come on.
I have a comment.
Comment. Okay.
Life is a sexually transmitted disease with 100% mortality.
Oh, well. Okay. Yes, for this state it holds like that, correct? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Sharada?
Is there any difference between Prakriti and Akasha, or are they just synonyms?
Oh, Prakriti, Akasha. Akasha is an evolute of Prakriti. Last Friday we had discussed that Akasha is one of the elements. The 5 elements, they are one of the 24 evolutes of Prakriti is Akasha. Yes. Okay then. Oh yes, Pritish. Oh yes, periodicity is very important uh, idea in time. Time has the measure of time needs periodicity. That the same point has to reach again, then only we can say it was say 30 seconds or 1 year or whatever. It has to have the periodicity is required for that. Yeah, correct. Therefore, even at the big scale, it is the periodicity that there was this cosmic dissolution and then everything comes and goes back to the dissolution. That is one cycle, a big cycle. Yuga, then Mahayuga, that is one age. Then another age comes, then the great age comes, and so forth. Yeah, but there is the periodicity is an important aspect of time. Yeah.
For everything. Like our life is one directional now. But many cycles, the same combination will come again.
Yes, that is why periodicity is there. Exactly. Swami Vivekananda mentions this in Jnana Yoga. Uh, that yes, the same combination will come again. There will be the same this class going on, and same people will be sitting, same stupid Swami will be talking and all that, It is that same thing will be kind of repeating every time. That is how this cycle is there. Yeah, correct. Yes, Ajay, today there are no web questions, but here there are so many questions today. Okay, yes, please.
So what does that mean if it's the same thing happening again? The same people here?
Well, yeah, the same shapes will be there. Think about it, yeah. There is the periodicity of everything. The same shapes will be there, the same, yeah, that is how the sameness is there. Nothing is same, and yet you think of sameness, yeah, because the time is a cycle. So every that combination will be there again and again. It is if you throw a dice, then that you will have one combination. Now the same combination may not come immediately, but it has to come sometimes after say 1 million throws of dice. Sometime it will come. So that is one cycle. So time is in that sense cyclic. There is nothing like the straight line in time. There is a very interesting question. Although the time is shown as an arrow, time is not a line, it is an arrow. What it means is it goes only in one direction. You cannot go back in time. Going back in time is not possible. We call it past. And so we say, let bygones be bygones. You can't change that. It is, yes, I said something bad to you. Now, I am very sorry for that, but that is past. That cannot be erased. That is past. But now I will learn from that and modify my behavior. So it is like that it goes. It is a great idea in what I was talking about earlier, thermodynamics and the arrow of time. A tremendously important idea in physics, in our psychology also, in understanding of time as well. Arrow of time. Very interesting. So, some other time we will discuss it in more details. So let us now conclude with our closing song. मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल। कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल।